Tatum is our first major success. We have taken a dangerous psychotic and completely rebuilt him. Programming him for future government or private sector use will be our next step.
My name is Baird Stafford. I played George Tatum in the film Nightmare, Romano Scavolini's Nightmare. I hope that everyone enjoys the performance and the movie as presented by Code Red DVD. When you're an actor, you get into all kinds of strange situations.
I just want to make sure I've got your name right.
Cleve Hall.
Cleve Hall.
C-L-E-V-E.
Okay.
H-A-L-L. Maybe I'd better do it right. No, it's
Cleve
like,
Hall.
yeah. I got involved with Nightmare because I was living in Florida at the time, grew up there, and I had a group of artists or friends who graduated high school, and we were all interested in monster effects. Grew up reading Famous Monsters of Filmland, and we'd met Rick Baker at science fiction conventions, and we were creating creatures for TV commercials, any local thing we could do. And then I got a call from some friends down in Cocoa Beach saying they were shooting a horror movie down there. They needed a makeup effects assistant. So they called me, and I was like, okay, I go down there, and I think, oh, cool, I'm going to be makeup effects and assisting. Yeah, so I got down there, and yeah, there was no makeup effects artist. It was just me. And Bill Millings, who was, I guess, producer and maybe did some writing on it, I'm sure, he had worked with Baker at one point on Squirm. Not quite sure what he did, but he kind of like told everybody I was the makeup effects guy now arriving. I'm like, okay. They were already into the shoot, and we're going to be shooting for 3 weeks, 7 days a week straight. And so I'd just pick up the script and say, okay, well, how am I killing somebody tomorrow? Let me pull something out of my butt right now. And that's how every killing in the Florida shoot was done, was just absolutely thrown together any way we could. And some of it was pretty damn funny, but my involvement with the film was, every killing in Florida was pretty much me.
This was due to Johnny. They got it the first time.
Okay.
Johnny had everything. The camera saw exactly what he wanted it to see.
How was Johnny Fiore? I mean, any memories of him?
Yeah, he was a nice guy. He had very little English, and he and Romano would occasionally get into discussions about most of which I remember every 10th word or so was Tatum, which is Tatum in Italian. That's how I remember them. That had my character name in them. He was quiet. He damn well knew his camera and what it could do, and how to make it do it when it didn't want to. As I said, he got that one scene first shot.
Was there much of a communication issue? I mean, as far as the Italian?
No. Romano gave us anything we needed, and his English is excellent.
Hi, my name's Tom Ward, and I had been president of 21st Century Distribution Corporation, and we had quite a number of motion pictures that we distributed throughout the United States and throughout the world.
Nightmare, unrated, very gruesome picture. What did the theater owners feel about distributing a movie that was that strong without a rating on it?
When we distributed motion pictures, many of them had the rating from the Motion Picture Association of America, but not all did. And one picture in particular, Nightmare, had no rating, but was very well accepted by different theater owners. The only problem we had with that one was delivering it to the different theaters, because when it snows in New York and snows heavy, you just can't get around.
And you had what, 250 prints? Well,
We had quite a number, but I forget how many. Wasn't that? But it was a good deal, a lot, because I remember making the deal with the laboratory at the time.
movie lab.
Yeah, movie lab.
And they printed over the weekend, I think. So it's all ready.
Well, they were very nice, and they did it, you know, on credit. We ordered all those prints, and they went all out for us to deliver the prints.
Like I said, I had a friend, my assistant or a partner from Jacksonville that I worked with. One guy from the local college who worked at the planetarium who was a painter. I hired him, and then I had this one girl who was really cute, and I don't remember where I found her, but she was really cute, and she was my assistant on that also. And it was pretty much the four of us, and then it was a physical effects guy that came from Michigan or somewhere, David Donahoe, who I think was recommended by Don Doler. He was one of the Cinemagic people, and he had some of the most amazingly homemade squibs and silent blanks I'd ever seen. And since most of the scenes I stood in for the killer, I got the shotgun in the chest when that was something I set off with my hand that kind of hurt. I didn't have to act falling down the stairs, I just went. But he had basically silent blanks for shotguns. And the last night of the shoot, practically, we were dead tired, and we're all sprawled on the couches downstairs around the kitchen table, and David Donahoe's down there with us. The prop guy's up there with the shotgun for the scene where CJ shoots Baird. And we're just like, they're taking after taking, and you know, and suddenly you hear BAM! And it's like, huh? And then you hear boom, 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 coming down the stairs, and it's like, oh, this can't be good. Here comes the prop guy with the shotgun right into Donahoe's face, like, why didn't you tell me you ran out of the silent blanks? And I can just see this poor little kid, CJ, up there going, duh, 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 because they didn't know it. Yeah. And there went the whole effects department was like, you guys. But I thought it was funny.
Oh, phone dialogue, downright embarrassing. Worst line in movie. So it's number 26.
That was towards the end. That.
Who is this?
I saw your body.
Oh, I know what it was. It was the I love you, I can't go to bed sleeping without you, or without dreaming about you, that kind of thing line. I detested that. I hated it. It wasn't really in character for George. At least as I envisioned the character.
And what is your name, darling?
Well, how as a gay actor, how did, as far as motivation goes for something like that? She's wiggling herself in the movie.
Actually, that was no problem.
Okay.
I just put a pretty guy there.
Why not?
Yeah. The same with the dancer in the ring. Yeah, that Savini was there on the set in New York.
Okay.
Okay, are you happy, Bill?
Okay, what I know, what Tom's told me is, I guess they through channels they were trying to get him. I think Bill Lustig had recommended him or something, but Tom Savini recommended his Ed French, who had worked with him, and Ed went in to do it. And from what I can tell, I guess Tom dropped by and visited on the set and got his picture taken, and somehow got all the credit. And then that's actually what made the film more notorious, was the whole Tom Savini, I didn't do it. And then I became like, who did? And I was kind of like, me. You know. And then when I came out to California, I was like, oh, you're the guy who did Nightmare. Yeah.
Do you have any interesting stories about shooting on 42nd Street in New York?
Not really. 42nd Street was 42nd Street. The only thing was the walking scared, which isn't, I don't know whether you can see it. You can't tell it in my copy of the tape. But the eyes were rolling, and dodging other people and things like that, which is not really a safe thing to do at that hour of the night on 42nd Street in New York. It's asking for a mugging. However, muggers were smart enough to look and see the camera following me, so they didn't.
Oh, my absolute favorite is the pickaxe in the arm. That was so... Okay, the whole thing with the sitting at the table, we only had a few minutes to set it up. I made a arm out of celastic, or just the forearm section, and just staged it in such a way we'd made this little end table that my cute female assistant was underneath in front, and my friend Steve was behind her with the blood pump, and the actress, who was, by the way, was the first actress I've ever done a nude casting on for a film, many since then, but that was the first time. And she has her arm going down into a hole in the table. The fake, her nightgown dresses over that end of it. It goes here, and then my girl, the assistant's hand is coming up holding the phone. I'm playing the killer. I've got my hand here disguising the blend between there and there, so you see this, and then I nailed it, bam. And unfortunately, the blood didn't go spurting out because it was freezing cold, and the blood kind of coagulated in the tube, so it kind of went, but it was so great. You know, I felt really cool about it. Yeah. No. The scene that they shot in New York, we'd planned to shoot it in Florida. They just ran out of time, so we'd kind of gotten a costume together for the girl and all that, the kind of a dominatrix sort of thing, if I remember correctly. We were planning on doing that scene, but then we just didn't. They didn't have time, and then when they got up there, they had an effects guy up there do it, not Tom Savini.
Somebody had to go out and diffuse the rumor that we were doing a porn shoot.
So how did they get the idea that you were doing a porn shoot?
Apparently that was all they could imagine being shot in a motel room.
So they did what they saw, cameras come in?
Cameras and lights and people going in and out with various pieces of equipment. So I have no idea how they got it. The rumor got started and somebody had to go out and say, no, we're actually shooting a movie. And that was about the time they let the local media know, and I think it was in response to that incident, so that we had people on set to interview is the word I'm looking for. Various and sundry of the actors, including George.
So what, somebody just knocked on the door and said, hey, you're shooting a porn movie?
No, this was somebody came in from outside with that particular information, gave it to some of the production crew, and somebody had to go outside. One of the tech people came in, somebody had to go outside and say, I overheard this. I did not participate in it. I overheard it while it was happening, but I didn't participate in it.
So they brought them in there and they decided, okay, well, they're all white rats, so let's like brush glycerin on them and put them in charcoal dust. And I said, well, that's just a great idea. Let's just do that. Well, for about, a half hour or an hour later, they were all white again because they're actually pretty clean little creatures, but their tongues were black. So when we're shooting in the room, I'm standing by one door, and they said, if any of these guys are trying to get out the door, stop them. I said, I don't know, if they want to come through this door, they can go right out the door because I hate rats, except to feed my snakes. I don't recall really doing two versions of it so much because once you blast, most of the effects we had set up, you could only do once. And if they worked right, you were good, and if they didn't, then, they didn't. But I don't remember ever, I guess I may have cut it sooner before too much blood pumped out, but I don't remember doing two scenes of anything. I wasn't set up to do that. Like I said, we didn't especially shoot extra stuff for Japan. We just, in American print, they just cut. I would have thought they'd cut before too much blood. But it was just a matter of they left it shot go longer. It's like I guess I heard in like Curse of Frankenstein that they do stuff like have extra shots of Christopher Lee with the blood pouring out of his forehead and stuff. And I'd heard about the extra stuff being done, and I've done films where they said we'll shoot this version for Japan, but I've never seen them do a different version. It's always been the same.
I think the frustration was with actors who needed more work. And as I said earlier, Romano would say action, cut, wrap with me. So I did not feel any of the frustration. Now I could feel some tension around me sometimes after some shots. Usually the ones I remember most vividly were the ones involving the girl CJ sisters. And also, especially Kathy. come to think of it, I know why, Kathy. I'd forgotten that little detail. She had a hip flask machine with her.
She had a what?
Hip flask.
A hip flask. I'm naive. This is going to be recorded too.
A very small bottle of something alcoholic.
Gotcha.
That she was nipping at in between takes.
Okay. I thought you said a hip flask or something.
No, hip flask.
Flask. Gotcha. Okay.
The only things I've seen of this film since the first time we all huddled down to the drive-in to see it, the first epic we'd ever worked on, there was, I guess, was it Best of Blood and Gore, Best in Tits and Violence, or some compilation.
Mitchell thing.
Yeah, it had most of the killing scenes in it. I was kind of like, oh, cool, there I am.
Your background now is you found a new religion.
Oh yeah, I am Wiccan. I have been I've been pagan for most of my adult life. Became Wiccan when I got together with my current partner some 16 years ago. And it's mostly because I got tired of being told in church that I was damned to hell for being what I was made. I'm gay. And quite frankly, I don't think it's a choice, because female pheromones make me sick to my stomach. And pheromones are acting very, very low on the brain stem. That's not a choice. That's something that's wired.
Speaking of Wicca, in fact,
Wicca doesn't care. So
it's the same kind of religion, except
it's a religion. I can't deal with atheism. I'm sorry. I want daddy or mommy or somebody up there that I can go crying to when I've fallen and hurt my knee.